another beautiful day here in Orlando, Florida, and we have a special guest that we will be introducing shortly. But I would love to say a little bit about her. That way, I can get you prepared to what is it that we are expecting today? What is it that we will be talking about? And her name is Ashley Barnes, coach, healer, poet, and author of two collections of poetic healing, empowers women professionals, coaches, and entrepreneurs to heal and balance the inner and outer chaos so they can gain clarity around their purpose and step into their power. After 13 years in the corporate world of leadership development and 8 years in personal coaching and healing, her genuine belief and experience is that whatever our role or goals in life may be, the path to get there is always an inside job. To truly inspire ourselves and others, we must do our own inner work. And that kind of work is not for the faint of heart. It takes a willingness to dig deeper below the surface of ourselves to confront the reasons why we feel stuck. Yet, this is where transformation lies and the shift from simply learning skills to transforming the energy of what was into what can be. Wow, this is powerful. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, it's so nice to be here.
Oh, elaborate on this bio, please. Tell us just a little bit more.
Sure. So I have, as I mentioned, I've worked in the corporate world pretty much my entire career since I graduated college in 1997, which has been quite a while. Have always, well, in the last 13 years, shifted into that leadership and training and talent development role, but have always felt a little off, not quite fitting in, not wondering why, I get into a role and I'm excited and then I'm a little disoriented or disappointed, thinking something was wrong with me. And what I have kind of come to figure out, and really, I spent a lot of time once I figured out I love coaching and healing and really wanting to do that work, really feeling like I need to get out of the corporate world without ever really learning what I needed to learn there. And what it really came down to in a lot of ways is, and with leadership, we focus a lot on competencies. You need to learn these certain things to be a good leader or a good employee. But what I kept coming up between my two worlds is motivation is so internal, and the willingness to change and to grow is something that's so personal and so internal that no matter how much you want to grow in your work, whatever your work is, and somebody else's list of competencies is great, but it's only going to get you so far unless you want to do the work yourself. And so that's what I mean by an inside job. This really is, it starts at really being able to be very open and honest about where you need growth, where you have old habits and patterns and beliefs and even traumas that need to be healed before you can move forward. And really just digging in and doing that work. And no matter what you want to do at that point, whether you're in the corporate world or in the coaching world or some other entrepreneurial activity, that's the key to getting there, is just really doing that inner work.
Oh, okay. Now, this is going to take me to the next question, and I had it in mind while I was preparing for this, and that is the role of women today. And obviously, inner transformation, meditation, observation, you call it whatever you want to call it, it happens for both genders.
Yes.
For us to move ahead, for us to find some closure to issues or past, whatever it is, it takes the same path. But for women, I think there is a little bit something there that is different. The question that comes to mind with the topic that we are going to be talking about, which is finding the purpose, is that women today are challenged with so many obligations, responsibilities, and tasks. We can be running our businesses, we can be working full time, but at the same time, we are managing or running another enterprise, and that is family. We are doctors, we are nurses, we are drivers, we are chefs, we are, you know what I am talking about.
Mhm.
How can we balance all of this? And in recent years, I've been reading a lot about the health challenges for women dealing with all of these responsibilities while
Mhm.
going out there to the world, showing up confident, smiling, happy, and they have to perform as best as they can. So, how can we handle all of this, all of these um, responsibilities, obligations, while staying balanced, staying at peace, and not let this stress get into us and affect our health?
Right. Yeah, you are absolutely right. That is a huge issue for women. And I think one thing that makes it more complex is that for so many of us, we are conditioned to always be saying yes, to always be taking care of everyone else at the expense of our own selves, to the point where we maybe don't even know where we start and somebody else begins. We get intermingled with their energies and our energy, and then it becomes very almost debilitating for many of us over time. One of the first things I do with almost every client, because it's almost universal with women especially, is work on boundaries. Specifically, we start with energetic boundaries. So looking at how do you create an energetic barrier between yourself and the rest of the world, not as a block from other people, but so I can say, this is mine and that's yours. I'm going to tend to mine first, and even take steps just to recognize what is mine, before I can deal with everybody else's. And I find that just that simple step of creating those boundaries, and also recognizing, where there are holes in the boundaries, like energetic holes. So where we say yes all the time and we, don't recognize that this feeling I'm feeling is actually somebody else's and I don't have to feel it or deal with it. That allows us to, first of all, have a sense of peace, have a sense of balance, to really kind of get grounded in who we are. And then we can, make more healthy choices about how we interact with other people. More able to say no sometimes when we were always saying yes, and to choose things that really nurture ourselves before we nurture other people. But for so many women, I find that it's even hard. You can't even get to that step without those energetic boundaries being in place first.
Okay, so what it means is basically, when we're talking about these boundaries, we're talking about finding purpose first, right? Right. So when you are saying finding our purpose, once we do that, we are able to say no, say yes to whatever we can handle and manage at a time. So when you say a purpose, what do you mean by purpose? And before you answer this question, I hear this a lot within the millennials generation, where they're looking for purpose rather than just go ahead and do it. We can have them come in to a workplace and excited about what they will do. And all of a sudden, the next day or 2 days or 3 days after that, they will feel that there is no purpose. It's not in alignment, whatever that job is, and their purpose that they had planned to serve based on is not there. So let's explain the purpose. What do we mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think boundaries and purpose are very much intertwined. So
Uh-huh.
I think it's hard to find purpose without having clear boundaries, because like I said, we're all intertwined with everybody else's energy, and I don't know what I need. But when we do have those clear boundaries in place, purpose sort of becomes more attainable, and also more there's more clarity around it, in the sense that for me, when I say purpose, I'm not necessarily thinking of your one life purpose. Maybe we all have, maybe some of us have that, maybe some of us have many things that we are going to do in our lifetime. But I like that you mentioned meaning, because I think at the core, that's what it is finding that those core beliefs, those core values that bring meaning to your life, and finding ways to both find that in your outside world, and if you can't find it, infuse it into your outside world. And I really relate to the millennial piece, because I'm not a millennial, I'm actually a Gen Xer, but I've always kind of felt like I have a little millennial in me, because I completely understand the deep need and desire to want to do meaningful work. And I respect that. I think that that's a really enormous piece of what's maybe missing in the world right now, in the world of work in general, that we really need to find that meaning. And I think when we do, that is the purpose piece for us, is I know what I like to do. I know what drives me, and I seek that out. So as an example, like I said, been in the corporate world forever, and I felt like I was literally beating my head against a wall, an invisible wall, because everything felt so miserable. Until one day I was like, okay, what really makes me happy? What drives me as a person? And it's really simple. Simply helping people on any kind of level is meaningful to me. So when I figured that out, and I started just finding ways in my day to be helpful to somebody in some small way, it changed my entire work environment for myself, even though nothing actually changed at work. But if I got to do something extra to help somebody out of the norm of my day, it was just a bonus, and it made the entire day better. So sometimes just those little steps it's a shift in how you think, not so much in how you actually, what you actually do, perhaps, or your environment, which we can't always control, right?
Can you hear me there? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finding a meaning has to come with clarity of thoughts. Recently I was talking to someone, and this is a quite often occurrence, is that people are so distracted. There's so much they're dealing with, and they want to achieve a goal. They talk about success, they talk about fulfillment, they talk about transformation, they talk about so many things. And as you know, we are bombarded with messages from everywhere, whether they're positive or negative. And to the point where it becomes a challenge to find that clarity. Not clear on my purpose. So what can you tell people to help them be clear about their goals, be clear about their objectives? What steps do they need to take?
Sure. So what I usually do with women that I work with is a 3-step process, not necessarily in this order, that I call Awaken, Heal, and Inspire. And what that looks like is, first we work on awakening, just waking up to where I have stuck places, where I have stuck energy, where I have old traumas that haven't been healed and that are creating current day problems for me, where I have physical pain that might be related to something emotional, spiritual, mental from the past. Any of those stuck places, I work energetically with folks. I work both energetically and in the current day to do practical tools, but we start with the energetic side and we say, what's stuck in you? And then we translate that into, now what can you do physically? What kind of practices can you implement to really help clear that out? So that's the healing piece, right? Is we're going to clear out the stuck stuff. We're going to give you tools so that you can do that for yourself going forward. And then the last piece, after you do those kind of processes, is how do I, we look at how I stay inspired for myself. What can I do? Kind of like my example of what is my purpose and how can I infuse that into my daily life? How can I shift something to really step into that purpose more fully? And how can I inspire other people, perhaps with my own process? Not everybody wants to be a speaker, a coach, a healer, an author, but almost every one of us has a story that could be inspirational to other people. So how do we kind of give back after we do that work for ourselves, even if it's just our friends or our parents or our children, just doing the work itself is putting that ripple out there energetically. But so maybe that's enough. But we look at all those three parts of waking up to what we can do, what we need to do, healing it, and then staying inspired and inspiring others.
So healing, you spoke about healing. Okay, we are healed from whatever trauma, bad experiences. How does healing help us reconnect to ourselves?
Yeah. So I kind of think about it like an onion. So we have all these things that happen to us or in experiences throughout our lifetime. Some of them we process through naturally. Many of them we don't for a variety of reasons, and they tend to kind of accumulate in our energetic system. So with healing work, we start peeling back layer by layer, energetically, whatever is still hanging there that is creating us or keeping us from moving forward. And as we do that, it frees us to make different choices. It frees us to think differently about things, to shift how we think. It gives us more clarity because we don't have those lingering pieces anymore. When the energy is moving consistently through our energetic systems, our bodies, we are more grounded, we think more clearly, we have more awareness of what, as I said, is our energy versus someone else, and our desires versus other people's desires. And then that helps us to be able to really be a lot more clear on, things that maybe we weren't recognizing. They were maybe always there under the surface a little bit, but never quite clear in our conscious awareness.
That takes me to the next thought as you were speaking. Based on your practice and the clients you worked with, what have you noticed after they healed, after they found their purpose? Are they really experiencing bliss? Are they really experiencing happiness? Or this is a constant work that they have to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do think there is some level of constant work with it, because even though we're moving, we process through these pieces then, and we move forward for a while, other things come up. And if we're not continually doing the work to process things through, then we're going to accumulate more stuff that needs work on it. I will say it's a mixture. So, I have women who I've worked with who ended up finding their most perfect partner that they knew they were looking for, but they didn't know they were looking for that necessarily. And now they're in these perfect, wonderful relationships that they're very happy with. They might have other things that keep coming up, and then they have more work to do based on whatever's going on currently in their life versus what we have done in the past. But I will say that they will have reported more peace, more freedom. I do have several women I've worked with who end up or aiming towards their own coaching business, starting their own women's circles. And some of these I haven't necessarily even coached. They were just women who have been in other groups with me. I have a women's circle that we meet monthly, and a lot of us are using that opportunity to bounce ideas off in order to grow ourselves in our own spiritual path and our own ways of serving other women. So yeah, it's a lot of different ways, which is what I think I like about the whole idea of it, because so many of us are here and awakening to something deeper right now, especially with everything going on, not just now, but over the last several years. And it's just been under that surface. And it's like all of a sudden women are going, oh gosh, I want to be a healer. I want to, be an intuitive, coach for women. I want to be a holistic mentor. And it's kind of blossoming and blowing up, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as it helps, as long as it adds value to people's lives, that's what matters. And I can feel as you are talking, I can feel the poetry in you. I know you are a poet and author of two poetry collection. How does this connect to your coaching and healing work?
Yeah, so it started almost with the writing. When I started my personal path, and I was trying to figure out what I want to do, I realized that, and that's its own story, so I won't spend too much time. But I was a writer as a child, and I
Oh,
had
wow.
not done that for a long, and it was always poetry. Even when I was a kid, I wrote poetry, and I
Uh-huh.
had not written for a very long time, and I got out my old journal and read through that, which was very eye opening. And I started writing again. And it was like a dam broke. It was my internal dam just exploded. And all of this, 15 plus years of not doing creative work just came pouring out. And so it started as my own healing process, just writing through my own healing. And over time, it's kind of shifted into being, it's still healing for me to be creative. It's extremely healing, but often what I will ask before I write something is, what does someone need to hear today? And that's how I present it. So I just kind of get whatever I get and I put it on the paper or out on the web somewhere. And then somebody will invariably say, it's like you heard my soul today. And I'm like, well, then it was for you. Then this one was apparently for you. And I do find that poetry, I've thought about it before. I'm like, why poetry of all the things? Because let's face it, it's easy to push all kinds of books, but poetry is a whole different type of genre.
Yes, yeah.
And I think it's like healing for me. So, I do the energy healing work myself. So I understand how all that works. To me, poetry is a lot like healing in that it can mean a lot of different things to whoever reads it. So you might read something and get one thing out of it, and somebody else gets something else. You might read it a week later and get something completely different that you didn't get because you weren't in that right frame of mind for it then. And I think you can infuse a whole lot of energy healing into poetry that is released and received when somebody reads it, so I'm just going to keep going with it because that is what makes me happy.
Hey, if it's making you happy and if it's helping others,
Yes.
I tell you, go for it.
Yes.
Before I ask you for your last statement, and given the times we're in, and given the hardship that a lot of people are experiencing from a job loss, um, and you know what's going on, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. People are anxious. People are nervous. People are stressed. People are worried. And sometimes, from my experience, when you have all those feelings, you really cannot think clearly. So, my question will be, what would you tell these people that are going through tough times right now? What would you recommend they do? Number one, to find balance. Number two, to stop the negative thinking and focus on a clear goal on what's next. What would you tell them?
I think the simplest place to return to whenever you're feeling out of sorts is the breath. We always have the breath with us, and it is so overlooked most of the time. We tend to breathe very shallowly instead of deeply. And I would say, first and foremost, stop what you're doing and breathe. And as you breathe, if you are in a good enough place for this, go inward, and just ask yourself, what do I need in this moment? Really dig into that deeper wisdom that we all have inside of us, and breathe and ask. And maybe you don't get an answer right away. Maybe it's a practice, but it's a practice to help keep you grounded, to help keep you focused, to help keep you from being so much up here in your head and more down here in your heart and in your gut, where the true peace and answers always lie when we really take the time to do that.
Okay, good answer. If you're listening to us and you are going through all these emotions and stress, anxiety, please feel free to contact Ashley. And now, before you give us your last statement, where can they find you?
Yes, so I am on Facebook as Ashley Castle Barnes. That's my personal profile. I also have a Facebook group for women called Awakening to You Women's Circle. I am on Instagram. I mostly post my poetry there. So if you're interested in that, that would be great. And of course, I have a website, ashleybarnes.org.
Okay, I know you have a client coming up soon. So last statement, final statement for everyone watching us.
Oh, goodness. I would just invite everyone to take a deep breath, feel into your heart, know that you are safe, know that your angels are with you, know that no matter what you are experiencing, there are women out there who are experiencing the same, that you are not alone. You are not alone internally, and you are not alone in the world. And even if you can't see us, we are reaching for you, and we are connected with you, and we are one.
Yes, that was powerful. That was deep. Thank you so much, Ashley. And hopefully we can have you sometime in the future to talk about another topic that be of value to not just women, but everyone in our society and in the world. So I thank you so much for your time, for your valuable information, and I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.